wonder, was Philly using this as a cop-out to get from underneath this young man?
Truthfully, that is exactly what's going on here. They're besmirching his word or his name,
right,
trying to make him look bad.
Absolutely.
Because they don't want to – they also know that the guy's got some people who are sketchy in his life right now.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. None of that has any implication or any direct effect on his performance on the field. That's why ball clubs are going to be knocking down the door to get at him.
Absolutely. Now, excuse me, you brought up a real important topic, because it's like, on the other hand, you had another receiver use a racial slur. We're not going to dig into that last season, and he remained with the team.
Oh, so, the kid, yeah, what's his name?
Whatever the receiver's name is. But my thing is, you have to understand that a lot of these kids, I see them in high school now. I see some family members, they just have been brought up in that life. And, they're getting away from it. They understand it. But some people, they're just, whether white, black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever it may be.
Riley Cooper is that kid's name.
Yeah, Riley Cooper. But you have that demographic that you come from that you're tied to. So how far should the NFL allow that to go when it's like, we're releasing you for gang ties?
Well, it's not that. I mean, him and Chip Kelly didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. Didn't get along.
So why not just release the young man without assassinating his character at that point?
Here's why they didn't do that. Because they're trying to make themselves look better than they really are.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Ultimately, they can say those things, and they may very well be they may very well be true.
Right.
But ultimately, if they say, because this guy didn't get along with the coach,
right,
he was late for meetings, he was also a bad guy in the clubhouse. Okay,
right,
those three things are grounds for release. No,
Absolutely.
They're not.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Well, see, and this is my thing. They're saying that it had some murders tied to everybody that has a gang tie. There's somebody in there that has some murder tied to it.
Have you ever heard of the rule of 7? Mm-mm. Everybody is tied to everybody in the entire world by 7 people.
Absolutely.
So ultimately, we are all tied to people who have done bad things.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Some of us closer than others, and some of us live in that world.
So what do we do to advise the youth and the kids on how they should be prepared for those issues in the future? Because
they have to be advocating for themselves. They have to be aware first, and
right,
they have to be advocating for themselves relative to their performance or their personal abilities in a sport. So,
right,
like Deshaun Jackson knew that he was going to get an opportunity down the road.
Right.
Everybody telling him, you're going to go this. He's been in the league 6 years. It's not like this is a new thing.
Right. But see, that's the thing. So out of 6 years, we all know the NFL, they do an extensive background check.
God,
so,
it's crazy.
But how do you start using this information to help our kids that are coming up? Like I said, I'm looking at for all kids. I don't care, Deshaun Jackson, I don't care about him being black no, I care about the fact that you're trying to tie who he hangs with as his because if that's the case, Jeff, you've hung with some bad characters. You know them.
What, are you kidding me?
But you have these people,
right? No, I get
it. And your job is on the line today because of that.
Okay,
where
so
you can say
what do you do?
Well,
I know what I do.
I mean, you just I don't know what to do.
I keep it as simple as possible.
But how do you keep it simple as possible? By telling these kids, hey, look, I know that's your cousin. Mm-hmm. But you are automatically tied to him.
That's okay. You can be tied to somebody, but you don't got to hang out with them all the time.
Absolutely.
Or at all.
So how much time is hanging out, you know what I mean, with this guy? And it's like, sometimes you help your family to get a new way out, their transition. I know it's really complicated to tell these kids, I really want them to, my thing is to understand, be careful on who you associate yourself with.
Right.
Be careful, and not to say be careful on who you associate yourself with. Be careful on how you advertise yourself. Because you can have all of these friends that are still involved with that, but now you have your Instagram, you have your Twitter. Now if you're taking pictures and you're constantly being seen with these groups, understand you have to keep a low profile. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you can't hang with them, because I have cousins that are gang members. I have family that's tied to gangs. Sure. It's just what it is. Is it me? No, I have friends. It's just life that you come up with.
Right.
But
you don't go out of your way
to do these things.
To do those things with that guy or those people.
And that's what those kids have to understand.
Sure.
Even if you're going to go hang out and you may go into your cousin's party or something, you can't be taking pictures and putting it up to public for people to see that, because you're going to be looked at in a different light.
We've had a few kids up at the school I work at, and we've had a few kids get suspended over those types of pictures on Instagram and on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because they did not realize the depth of the people, the amount of people that were going to see
Absolutely.
the issues. Okay, you see those things? All right, fine. It's no big deal that you're at a party. It is a big deal to post those kinds of photos that are self-incriminating.
Absolutely.
And then these kids get suspended for a year from a sport, or for 6 months from a sport, and have to take drug tests and do other things that are involved to keep their name clear or what have you within the framework of CHASA or even the school that they go to. It's crazy. But that's a lesson that is so valuable to learn at such a young age. But it's also the opportunity. Mm-hmm. It's a teaching opportunity. It's a tool to say, look, you're not a bad kid. You're not a bad guy.
Right.
But what you did in this particular instance was not smart. So Deshaun Jackson hanging around these kinds of people for the amount of time that he's hung around or been around them,
right?
It doesn't speak good to his character. But
I guess at some point in time you do have to.
You have to draw a line.
You have to draw a line because you have to understand.
Are these people helping me or hindering me?
Well, you have to market yourself.
You
You are your own entity, and that's the key component. And
sure.
I know we all have our personal feelings about that.
Right.
But how do we teach the youth from this? How do we teach these kids that are involved in sports that someday potentially may? It's like you don't shy away. Not to say you don't, still like your friends and talk to them, but now it's about how are you seen in public with them. Do you
remember the guy from Chicago that got shot and killed? The kid that was going to be I can't remember his name.
Basketball player.
The basketball player. The guy who shot and killed him is now one of the greatest ambassadors for after-school programs for kids.
Right.
He got a humongous honor from the United States government. Not that that's any great thing, but they acknowledged his charitable organization after school. He's on parole. I mean, he was a kid. He was 16 or 17 years old when he caught. Benji was the kid's name. Benjamin something. I can't remember.
Yep.
But anyway, so this guy. It's a matter of what you do afterwards.
But
you're 16, 17 years old. You shoot and kill another human being.
But see, this is the thing.
He has made his life completely.
He had a chance to turn around and do that.
He did a great job, and he's doing a great job now.
And I don't believe that anyone should ever have to continue to suffer for your wrongs.
Once you pay your
but
debt,
that's a hard subject, because when you're talking about this kid's now dead and gone, and he'll never have a chance to, show the potential of what he was or what he was able to do or capable of.
Well,
that's So you have.
I'm with you.
It's such a. Man, that's a tough one to get into with that, because you just, for the parents and the friends and the family, they're like, I don't want to support this guy, but he's able to talk from a stance of making a stupid mistake. You know what I mean?
Well,
and
that ain't no lie. He knows it from firsthand experience.
Right. So I really want to see how Deshaun Jackson turns this around. I would definitely love to try and get him on to talk to our youth and, really clean it up to where, what, hey, that's fine.
Well, his Twitter,
take responsibility for it.
His Twitter handle, Deshaun10, you go on there and look at it. And he is doing some serious, like Richie Incognito with the deal with the kid from Stanford when at Miami. They do some serious damage control and spin control on what is said and how they take how they take responsibility for whatever the issues are.
Absolutely.
But he's doing some serious social media spin control right now, and as he should, because he's being associated with an element of our society that nobody wants to be associated.
Nobody
with.
wants to.
I mean, look, we all know it's there. We all acknowledge it. It's pervasive, whether it be inner city, whether it be rural, whether it be suburban, whatever. Everybody's culpable because everybody's a part of it.
Absolutely.
Everybody is, whether it be and I mean commenting on it, being involved in it, feeling like you want to belong to it, because that's really what it's about, is belonging.
Yes.
People, look, it's the lowest common denominator.
Right.
Family lives being what they are these days, so disconnected, so disjointed, I get that. But ultimately, it is a place to belong. That's why drugs are so pervasive. It ultimately is where people feel like they belong and they can have a place where they can have a say or somebody cares about them. Truthfully, nobody really cares about them because they're only doing stuff. They're flesh peddlers, as Coach Carey said last week. They are.
No, I just love that word.
They're worried about moving, trafficking drugs or trafficking people or testing your loyalty, killing people. Come on, man. I mean, let's be honest. Let's be real.
I totally agree with you.
Or the look, or the whole deal. The whole thing is about feeling accepted. People want to belong.
Right.
That's why team sports, group activities are so much more fun for kids, pulling in the same direction. What do you think goes on in a gang? Everybody's got everybody's back. And this is about life and death. This is not about let's get a base hit so we can win a damn ball game. Come on.
I totally agree with you on that. And, it's one of those subjects we'll run on all day. And I just want the kids to be aware, and I think you gave a lot of great pointers on that. And I think we can continue to touch on this on kids really marketing and watching themselves and what they do. Let's move into something. Let's get into the week updates on our scores and what's taking place here. We had some great photos taking place out of some baseball games this past week. Provided by Best Car Buys, again, one of our great sponsors. Those photos will be going up here. It was at a George and West game, and they welcomed us in really well out there. I mean, they truly
really excited to have you out there.
Man, they were. It was a you're not looking at a lot of fans, but you're looking at people that really care.
Yeah.
So I just want to, tell them thanks a lot for, really, my photographer was just really, he was just really
flashing.
Yeah, he was shocked. Photo. Like, he called me, and his name is Marvin Kelly, and he shoots with Max Prep sometimes.
Oh, nice.
So he just seen a whole nother side that he was just surprised. He was like, wow. And there's a great story on the, for the West Cowboys baseball that we'll be doing here later. We want to talk with the young man's parents and things like that. So let's go over and let's do some updates and see what took place here. I know baseball scores around there. Won't probably get too detailed, but I know out of the city area, Rangeview had a chance to play Grand Junction, and they took a tough loss there earlier this week. It was 14-3. Also, Manuel, they played Lutheran. It was tough on them, actually, on their outing. It was 10-0, so I know they're trying to grow.
Lutheran is really good.
Right.
Lutheran is really good.
And see, that's, so it's tough. Baseball isn't that easy. You have to really, really get into it.
You want to talk about what you and I talked about today earlier about how those kids and
definitely.
Okay.
Let's get into that, because that's one thing with baseball and giving everybody understanding where the training is on that. I see Smoky Hill and Horizon. It was 10-2 earlier this week. We also
won that game, Smoky?
No, Horizon. 10-2.
I'll be darned.
Maybe I need to make sure I say that clearly, huh? Adams City played Fort Lupton, and they took a loss 6-10. Fort Lupton,
Fort Lupton won.
They're
in our conference, so that's a big win for them.
Yeah, nice little battle took place with Regis and Cherry Creek.
Really?
And Regis actually came out with a victory, 14-3.
Wow!
So that
Cherry
was
Creek might be down. I'd heard Eagle Crest gave Cherry Creek a game. They lost. Eagle Crest lost in the bottom of the seventh, 8-7.
Wow.
They were ahead through the first 5 innings. Creek scored 2 or 3 in the 6th, scored 2 or 3 more in the 7th, and won 8-7. So
Absolutely.
Creek may be a little down, or people are starting to catch up, because Creek is always, as you are well aware, a terrific baseball program. Mark Johnson's been there 40 years or 36 years or whatever it is, and he's doing a fantastic job.
Absolutely. And we had, I see, who else that we see took place here around the city. Not too many games this week from a lot of city teams. I know actually George and West played, and I think that was West overcoming George 3-2 in that game.
Good game.
It was a great game.
I mean, tight scored ball game. That's good. Good pitched game too.
Absolutely.
3-2.
Yeah, so those are fun games to always watch. We have some great photos coming up of that game. Denver South was playing Pueblo Centennial. We don't have a score update on that yet. Still hasn't came in. So
I went to see a couple of games this past week since I was on break.
Mm-hmm.
I went and saw Cherokee Trail play Eagle Crest one game. They won 7-0 on Tuesday. Cherokee Trail has a pitcher that is signed to go to Garden City Community College. Decent pitcher, not great, decent, but for high school, he was up in the zone a little bit and flat, as I thought, but threw hard enough to get some outs and change speeds enough to get some outs. And you throw a shutout in any league, I don't care if it's T-ball or wiffle ball or whatever, you have to be dominant in the strike zone, at least making certain that you get ahead in the count and make them swinging at your pitches, obviously. So, and then you also have